A single act of kindness in a busy restaurant set off a chain of events that would change a young waitress's life and inspire countless others along the way. The restaurant was alive with the usual weekend crowd. Families filled the tables, laughter and chatter mingling with the clatter of dishes and the soft hum of background music. It was one of those places where everyone felt welcome, a cozy, bright space with big windows, letting in the afternoon sun. Waiters moved swiftly between tables, balancing trays, taking orders, and making sure every customer felt attended to. Among them was Emily, a young waitress, with a warm smile and a calm, steady presence. She had been working at the restaurant for a few months, and though she had seen all sorts of customers, she prided herself on treating every person with care and attention, no matter how busy it got. On this particular day, the restaurant had a different energy. At a corner table by the window sat a man who seemed to command quiet attention without even trying. Michael Thompson, a billionaire businessman known in the news for his philanthropic ventures, had chosen this humble restaurant for a family outing. Despite his wealth, he preferred places that were simple, comfortable, and filled with real human connection. He was not there to impress anyone. His attention was focused entirely on his family, especially his youngest son, Liam. Liam, a bright-eyed boy of 7, had cerebral palsy. His movements were slower, sometimes awkward, and he required careful handling and constant attention. But his spirit was uncontainable. He loved people, lights, and sounds, and he had a curious way of noticing things that adults often overlooked. He could make anyone smile with his infectious laughter, but he could also become frustrated when things didn't go his way, or when he felt tired. Michael had grown used to the challenges of taking Liam out in public. He knew that restaurants could be particularly difficult with tight spaces, loud noises, and other children running around. But he wanted Liam to experience the world just like any other child. Today he had brought along his wife and older daughter, hoping to enjoy a calm meal together. Yet, as they settled in, it quickly became clear that Liam was having one of those restless days. He squirmed in his chair, reaching for his toys, tugging at his father's hand, and occasionally letting out small cries when he felt confined or misunderstood. Michael tried to soothe him, gently holding his hand and talking softly. But Liam's energy was too much for even his father to manage alone in that moment. Emily noticed the little boy immediately. Her experience as a waitress had taught her to observe customers closely, not just for their orders, but for how they were feeling. She saw the tension in Michael's shoulders, the careful way he tried to balance his attention between Liam and the rest of his family, and the small signs. A frustration in the boy's eyes. Without hesitation, Emily stepped closer to their table, kneeling slightly to be at Liam's level. She smiled warmly, speaking to him softly in a voice that seemed to wrap around him like a gentle blanket. "Hi there," she said. "Would you like me to help you with your toy?" Liam's eyes widened. He didn't often respond quickly to strangers, but there was something in Emily's calm, confident presence that caught his attention. He looked at her, curious, and slowly reached out. Emily carefully took his small hands and helped him hold the toy in a way that made it easier for him to play. She laughed lightly when he giggled, encouraging him, never rushing, never forcing him to do anything he wasn't ready for. Michael watched silently, almost in disbelief. Here was a young woman just doing her job, yet showing a level of understanding and patience that he had rarely seen, even among professionals who worked with children with special needs. As the minutes passed, Liam's mood began to shift. His small cries softened into coos of delight, and soon he was looking at Emily with trust in his eyes. She noticed that he sometimes lost his balance when reaching for objects, and instinctively, she scooped him up gently, holding him close against her chest. Michael's heart caught in his throat. It wasn't just the act itself. It was the tenderness, the instinctive care with which she treated his son. Emily adjusted her hold, making sure Liam was comfortable. Spoke to him the way someone would speak to a friend, full of warmth and attention. She noticed every small movement, every sigh, every tiny shift in his expression, responding with patience and understanding. Other customers barely noticed the interaction, lost in their own meals and conversations. But for Michael, time seemed too slow. He couldn't take his eyes off her. He observed the way Emily handled Liam's restlessness, the way she anticipated his needs before he even expressed them, the quiet joy that radiated from her as she engaged with him. It wasn't forced or rehearsed, it was real. She had no obligation to do any of this beyond her normal duties. Yet she had chosen kindness in the most natural, instinctive way. Michael felt a wave of admiration mixed with gratitude. He knew, in that moment, that Emily had a rare gift, something beyond training or skill. She had empathy. She had heart. Meanwhile, Emily continued interacting with Liam, showing him small games and simple tricks that made him laugh. She had no idea who his father was, or that she was in the presence of someone incredibly wealthy and influential. To her, Liam was just a little boy who needed a friend for a moment, and she wanted to make him comfortable. Michael, however, saw beyond the scene in front of him. He saw the impact of genuine compassion, the way a simple act of human kindness could light up a child's face and calm a parent's worry. He realized that people like Emily who could connect so deeply without seeking recognition were rare, and the world needed more of them. Eventually, the moment came when Liam, content and happy, rested his head against Emily's shoulder. She smiled down at him, adjusting her hold to make sure he felt safe and supported. Michael felt a lump in his throat, recognizing that this woman's actions had gone beyond the ordinary. She had taken a small, potentially stressful situation and turned it into a moment of comfort and joy, not just for his son, but for his entire family. Emily's presence had transformed a simple lunch into something extraordinary, a memory that Michael knew he would carry with him long after they left the restaurant, even as Emily returned Liam to his father's arms. The boy reached up as if reluctant to leave her side. Michael thanked her quietly, his voice filled with genuine gratitude. She nodded, smiling, as if this were the most natural thing in the world. For her, it had been a moment of empathy, a small act of care that required nothing in return. For Michael, it was a revelation, a reminder that kindness still existed in the world, often in the people we least expect, and that such moments could leave lasting impressions on both the giver and the receiver. The family finished their meal, but Michael's mind remained with Emily. He noticed her attentiveness to other customers, her gentle patience with children, and her calm efficiency. Under pressure, she moved with a grace that seemed effortless, but he could sense the depth of her heart in every small action. He realized that her presence in that restaurant had not only helped his son that day, but it had also reminded him of the power of compassion, the kind of compassion that money can't buy, but that can change lives in ways far greater than wealth alone. As they left the restaurant, Michael turned back for a final glance at Emily. She waved politely, unaware of the thoughts racing through his mind. But he knew one thing with certainty: the kindness she had shown to Liam that afternoon would not be forgotten, and somehow he felt certain their paths would cross again. That simple, unassuming moment in a small, busy restaurant had already begun to plant the seeds of a story that would change more than one life. A story built not on wealth or fame, but on empathy, courage, and the quiet, transformative power of human kindness. The memory of that day in the restaurant stayed with Michael Thompson long after he left. He found himself thinking about the young waitress Emily, not just because she had helped his son Liam, but because of the quiet way she had done it. There was something about her that went beyond the normal kindness one might expect in someone who worked in customer service. It wasn't just patience or politeness, it was genuine understanding. It's an instinctive awareness of the little details that mattered most to a child like Liam. Michael, despite his busy life filled with meetings, schedules, and responsibilities, realized he had witnessed something rare: a person who could see another human being's needs so clearly and respond to them without hesitation. In the following days, Michael found himself replaying the scene in his mind. He thought about the way Emily had knelt to Liam's level, how she had looked directly into his eyes, and how he had responded almost immediately, as if recognizing a safe presence. It was unusual for Liam to warm up to strangers so quickly, especially in a public setting, and Michael could not shake the impression that Emily had a unique gift. He recalled the gentle way she had held his son, adjusting her movements carefully, speaking in that soft, calm tone that had seemed to put him at ease. It was remarkable how she had managed to do all of this naturally, without hesitation, and without expecting any recognition for her efforts. Michael felt a growing admiration for her, not admiration based on superficial qualities, but for the depth of her heart and character. He also reflected on how rare such people were in the world. In his life, he had met countless individuals, some brilliant in business, others generous in charity, yet very few possessed the kind of innate empathy that Emily had displayed. Watching her interact with Liam reminded him that true compassion could not be taught in a classroom or earned through experience alone. It came from within. Michael had always believed in the importance of giving back and helping others, but this moment made him realize that sometimes it was the quiet, unassuming people who made the most profound differences in the world. Meanwhile, Emily continued her work at the restaurant, unaware of the lasting impression she had made. She treated each customer with the same care, moving from table to table with her characteristic warmth. She was efficient but patient, always attentive to those around her. Emily's approach to her job reflected more than just a professional. Etiquette was an extension of her personality. She had grown up in a family that valued compassion and community, and she had internalized these lessons. Helping Liam that day had felt natural, something she would have done for any child or person in need. For her, it was not about impressing anyone or gaining recognition. It was simply about doing what felt right, as Michael returned to the restaurant. In the following weeks, he observed Emily more closely. He began to notice not just her interactions with his son, but how she carried herself with every customer. She had a way of making people feel seen and understood, of anticipating their needs before they even expressed them. Michael was struck by the subtle gestures, the way she remembered regular customers' preferences, the gentle encouragement she offered to children, the polite yet reassuring way she handled complaints. It was clear that her kindness was not limited to one moment. It was a consistent part of who she was. This consistency, combined with the effortless grace she displayed under pressure, left a lasting impression on him. Michael also began to pay attention to Emily's demeanor beyond the restaurant. He learned through casual conversation that she was a single mother, working tirelessly to support her child while pursuing a nursing degree in the evenings. The challenges she faced were immense, balancing work, study, and parenthood left her exhausted, yet she carried herself with quiet dignity. Michael admired not just her kindness, but her resilience. Here was a woman who had faced adversity with determination and grace, who had managed to maintain her warmth and empathy despite the pressures of daily life. Her story resonated with him on a personal level, as he had always believed in helping those who demonstrated both potential and integrity. Michael began to reflect on the contrast between their lives. His own world was one of wealth, opportunity, and influence. Yet he recognized that material success alone was insufficient. Observing Emily, he realized that true value came not from money or status, but from character, empathy, and the ability to connect with others meaningfully. Thought about how he could leverage his resources to make a tangible difference in someone else's life. Just as Emily had made a difference in his son's life, it became clear to him that this was an opportunity not merely to reward kindness, but to nurture potential. He envisioned a future where Emily could fully realize her abilities, unhindered by financial struggles or limited opportunities. Meanwhile, Emily remained unaware of the profound impression she had left on Michael. She continued her daily routine, with dedication and humility, caring for her son and serving the restaurant's customers with the same gentle attentiveness. She had no idea that a simple act of compassion, holding a small boy in her arms and offering him comfort, had sparked a recognition that could change her life. To her, it had been a small gesture, natural and unremarkable. Yet it had created a ripple effect far beyond what she could have imagined. She embodied the truth that sometimes the simplest acts of human kindness carry the most powerful impact. Michael, however, could not stop thinking about her. He began to look for ways to engage with her, to understand more about her aspirations, and to explore how he might help. He realized that Emily was a rare combination of talent, empathy, and determination qualities that deserve to be nurtured and supported. Observing her interactions with other customers, he noticed that she treated everyone with equal care, never showing favoritism or impatience. It became evident that her compassion was not situational. It was ingrained in her character. Michael was struck by the realization that people like Emily could influence the world in ways that wealth and power often could not. As he pondered this, Michael also reflected on Liam's reaction to Emily. His son, who was often cautious and selective, about whom he trusted, had responded to her immediately and without hesitation. This, Michael realized, was perhaps the greatest testament to her character. Children, particularly those with special needs, often perceive authenticity more keenly than adults. Liam had sensed something in Emily that resonated with him, a genuine presence that made him feel safe and understood. Michael knew that such a connection was rare and valuable. He felt a deep sense of gratitude not only for the comfort she had provided his son, but for the reminder that human connection and empathy were powerful forces, capable of transcending barriers of age, ability, and circumstance. Michael also began to imagine what life might be like for Emily outside the restaurant. He thought about the challenges she faced as a single mother, the sacrifices she made to pursue her nursing degree, and the ways in which her potential might be limited by circumstances beyond her control. He felt a growing desire to support her not as a patron of the restaurant, but as someone who recognized the importance of nurturing talent and character. He realized that the world often overlooked people like Emily, whose worth could not be measured by income or status, but by their capacity to care, empathize, and persevere. Michael saw in her an opportunity to make a meaningful difference, to help someone with genuine potential reach her full capabilities. In the weeks that followed, McCall found himself returning to the restaurant more frequently, not merely as a customer, but to observe and engage with Emily. He would watch her interactions with other children, noting the same patience, understanding, and kindness that had captivated him weeks earlier. He began to see patterns: her attentiveness to small details, her ability to anticipate needs, her calm presence in potentially stressful situations. Each observation reinforced his belief that she possessed qualities that were rare, valuable, and worth supporting. Michael felt a sense of responsibility, a quiet urgency to ensure that her potential was recognized and nurtured as he continued to watch and reflect. Michael also considered the broader implications of Emily's character. He realized that people like her had the power to influence not just individual lives, but communities. Her empathy and dedication could inspire others, create positive environments, and instill hope in those around her. Michael understood that the impact of such individuals often went unnoticed, yet it was profound and far-reaching, spurring Emily. He felt a renewed commitment to using his resources and influence to support those who demonstrated exceptional character and potential, recognizing that such investments could yield meaningful, lasting change. Through all of this reflection, Michael's admiration for Emily grew, not merely as a waitress who had helped his son, but as a person of extraordinary empathy, resilience, and integrity. He recognized that her story was not defined by her current circumstances, but by her character and potential. Michael realized that sometimes the most remarkable people are found in the most ordinary places, and that acts of kindness, no matter how small, can reveal profound truths about the human spirit. Emily's presence in that restaurant had reminded him of the transformative power of compassion, and he felt compelled to ensure that her gifts would not go unrecognized. Michael Thompson could not get Emily out of his mind. He kept thinking about her, not only the way she had comforted his son Liam that day in the restaurant, but also the strength, kindness, and resilience she displayed every time he observed her. He realized that she was more than just a waitress doing her job. Emily had a quiet determination, a warmth that touched everyone around her, and a rare ability to care deeply without expecting anything in return. Michael knew that people like her were extraordinary, and he felt that it was his responsibility to find a way to help her fulfill her potential. He began making regular visits to the restaurant, sometimes under the guise of casual dining, sometimes to spend a little time observing Emily interact with customers. He noticed the little things, the way she remembered regulars' orders, the way she handled children with patience, the gentle smile she offered even when the restaurant was crowded and chaotic. She had an ease about her, an innate confidence, and warmth that made people trust her instantly. Every time he saw her engage with Liam, he was amazed by her natural ability to read the boy's needs, anticipate his movements, and calm him without using force or pressure. It was something that no textbook or training could teach, came from her heart. One afternoon, after a particularly busy lunch hour, Michael finally decided to approach Emily. He waited until she was finishing her shift, tidying up tables, and then he walked over. "Hi, Emily," he said, smiling warmly. "I hope you don't mind me talking to you for a moment." Emily looked up, a little surprised, and nodded politely. Michael introduced himself, keeping his tone casual but sincere. He spoke about how impressed he had been by the way she had treated Liam, emphasizing how rare and remarkable it was to see someone respond with such patience and empathy. Emily blushed, embarrassed by the attention, and insisted she was just doing her job. But Michael could see that she had a genuine gift, and he wanted to do more than just compliment her as they talked. Michael learned more about Emily's life. She was a single mother, working tirelessly to support her young child while pursuing her dream of becoming a nurse. She had enrolled in evening classes, often studying late into the night after long shifts at the restaurant. Her schedule was exhausting, and yet she never complained. Michael listened carefully, realizing that Emily's determination and strength were remarkable, but also that her circumstances made her journey incredibly challenging. She had talent, empathy, and dedication, but she lacked the resources and support to fully reach her potential. Michael knew he could help change that after their conversation. Michael spent time thinking about how he could assist Emily in a meaningful way. He considered several options, from offering financial support to helping her find a more comfortable work environment. But he wanted to do something more lasting, something that would truly empower her for the future. He remembered his philanthropic work in healthcare and education, and realized that Emily could benefit from a scholarship to complete her nursing degree and an opportunity to gain professional experience in a medical setting. He also wanted to provide her with stability, ensuring that she could focus on her studies and career without the constant worry of financial hardship. Within a few days, Michael arranged for a meeting with Emily. He explained that he wanted to support her education and career, offering a scholarship that would cover her tuition and living expenses. He also arranged for a paid internship at a prestigious medical facility he supported, giving her the opportunity to gain hands-on experience and mentorship from experienced professionals. Emily was stunned. She had never imagined that such an opportunity could exist for her, let alone come from someone she barely knew. Her eyes filled with tears as she tried to express her gratitude, feeling a mix of disbelief, joy, and hope. Michael reassured her that he believed in her potential and wanted to help her achieve her dreams. The days that followed were filled with excitement, preparation, and careful planning. Emily had to make adjustments in her life, balancing the transition from her restaurant job to her new internship and educational program. She felt nervous but exhilarated, knowing that this opportunity could change her life. Michael remained in touch, offering guidance and support, but also giving her the space to take charge of her own journey. He was impressed by her determination and resilience, and he admired how she embraced the opportunity with both humility and confidence. Emily's life, once filled with constant struggle and uncertainty, was beginning to shift in a direction that felt both hopeful and empowering. As Emily settled into her new routine, she faced challenges she had never experienced before. The demands of advanced nursing classes were intense, and the internship required long hours and careful attention to detail. Yet she approached every task with the same patience, empathy, and dedication that had impressed Michael in the restaurant. Her natural ability to connect with patients, to understand their needs and comfort them, made her a standout intern. Supervisors noticed her compassion and professionalism, often commenting on her extraordinary ability to balance technical skill with emotional intelligence. Emily felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment that she had rarely experienced before. Realizing that her small acts of kindness and care had a much larger impact than she had imagined. Meanwhile, Michael continued to observe Emily's progress, feeling a growing sense of pride and satisfaction. He had recognized her potential when he saw her with Liam, but seeing her thrive in a professional environment confirmed that he had made the right decision in supporting her. He watched as she gained confidence, built her skills, and grew into a capable, compassionate nurse. The transformation was remarkable not because it changed who she was at her core, but because it gave her the tools, resources, and opportunities to fully express her character and abilities. Michael felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that his decision had not only altered Emily's life, but had the potential to impact countless others through her. Work in healthcare. Emily's personal life also began to improve. With the financial support provided by Michael, she was able to create a more stable and nurturing environment for her child. She no longer had to work exhausting shifts at the restaurant, allowing her to spend more quality time with her family. The stress and uncertainty that had weighed heavily on her shoulders began to ease, replaced by a sense of hope, possibility, and security. Emily felt empowered, motivated, and grateful, understanding that the opportunities she had been given were a result of both her own dedication and Michael's recognition of her potential. It was a partnership built on respect, trust, and the shared belief that talent and compassion deserved to be nurtured. As months passed, Emily excelled in her studies and internship, impressing her professors, colleagues, and supervisors. Her natural empathy and dedication to patient care made her a standout student, and she quickly developed a reputation for being reliable, compassionate, and capable. Michael continued to provide mentorship and guidance, offering advice when needed, but always allowing her to take the lead in shaping her future. The relationship between them was one of mutual respect. He admired her character and determination, while she appreciated his belief in her abilities and the opportunities he had provided. Their connection, formed through a simple act of kindness in a restaurant, had grown into a meaningful partnership that changed the course of Emily's life. Emily also began to reflect on the moment that had started it all the day she held Liam in her arms. She realized that it had been more than a simple act of kindness. It had been a turning point that opened doors she had never imagined. Her confidence grew as she saw the impact of her actions, understanding that small gestures of empathy and care could have far-reaching effects. She felt a renewed sense of purpose and motivation, inspired to continue pursuing her dreams and making a positive difference in the lives of others. Emily's journey was no longer just about survival. It was about thriving, growing, and embracing the opportunities that life had to offer. By the end of the year, Emily had made remarkable progress. She was thriving academically, excelling in her internship, and providing a loving, stable environment for her child. Michael felt immense pride, knowing that he had played a small part in helping her reach her potential. Emily, in turn, felt gratitude and admiration for the man who had recognized her worth and given her the opportunity to transform her life. What had begun as a brief encounter in a restaurant had grown into a life-changing partnership, demonstrating the power of kindness, empathy, and the belief in human potential. Emily's life had been forever altered, not by luck or circumstance alone, but by the recognition of her character and the support of someone who saw what she was truly capable of achieving. This is a detailed, engaging, and simple English expansion of Part 3, focusing on Emily receiving Michael's support, challenges, growth, and transformation while keeping it interesting and relatable. Emily's life had begun to change in ways she had never imagined. The scholarship and internship that Michael Thompson had provided opened doors that were previously closed, giving her a chance not only to pursue her nursing degree but also to envision a future filled with possibilities. The first days of her internship were both exciting and nerve-wracking. She walked into the hospital with a mix of anticipation and nervousness, aware that she was entering a professional environment, full of experienced staff, patients, and challenges she had only studied about in textbooks. Yet, beneath the nerves, Emily felt a quiet confidence. She knew that her natural empathy and her dedication to helping others would guide her Through any difficulty, her first day was a whirlwind of introductions, training sessions, and orientation. Emily observed the hospital's routines, noting how each department functioned, how staff communicated with patients, and how nurses managed their responsibilities. She was careful to listen, watch, and learn, absorbing every detail. But it wasn't long before she began interacting with patients herself. She encountered children who were scared, anxious, or in pain, and she realized immediately that her approach needed to be gentle, patient, and comforting. She drew on her experience with Liam, the lessons she had learned about empathy, patience, and understanding individual needs, and applied them to every interaction. She spoke softly, listened carefully, made small gestures of reassurance, holding a hand, adjusting a pillow, or simply sitting beside a child so they wouldn't feel alone. The impact of Emily's approach was immediate. Patients responded to her warmth and calmness, often relaxing in ways they hadn't with other staff. Parents noticed the care she took, and doctors appreciated her attentiveness and professionalism. Emily's confidence grew with every positive response. She realized that her natural abilities, compassion, patience, and understanding were as valuable in a professional setting as any technical skill. Her hard work, dedication, and willingness to learn allowed her to adapt quickly to new challenges. And her supervisors began to notice her potential. They commended her for her ability to combine technical competence with emotional intelligence, quality that is rare and highly valued in healthcare. While Emily thrived in her internship, she also continued her nursing studies, balancing coursework, practical assignments, and exams. It was challenging, but she approached it with the same determination that had defined her life up to this point. She spent late nights studying, practicing clinical skills, and preparing for tests, often relying on her own discipline and focus. The scholarship provided her with stability, allowing her to devote herself fully to her education without the constant worry of financial strain. She began to see the path forward clearly. One day she would graduate, become a registered nurse, and have the ability to make a real difference in the lives of children and families. The opportunity that Michael had provided had not just changed her. Circumstances it had awakened a sense of purpose and possibility she had never known. As Emily grew more confident in her role, she began to take on additional responsibilities. She volunteered for extra shifts when needed, helped train newer interns, and even started proposing small improvements in patient care routines. Her supervisors noticed not just her competence, but her proactive attitude and dedication. They often remarked on her ability to remain calm under pressure, to connect with patients on a personal level, and to handle difficult situations with grace. Emily's growth was remarkable, and she began to feel proud of herself in a way she hadn't experienced before. For the first time, she saw her efforts not merely as survival, but as meaningful contributions that mattered in the lives of others. Her relationship with Michael continued, though it was built on mutual respect rather than dependency. He offered guidance and advice when she sought it, but he allowed her to take the lead in shaping her own career. Michael was impressed by how she handled the opportunities he had provided, using them wisely and responsibly, without arrogance or entitlement. He often observed her progress quietly, feeling a sense of pride in seeing someone with genuine talent and character flourish. For Emily, Michael's belief in her abilities was empowering, providing motivation and reassurance as she navigated the challenges of her education and internship. At the same time, Emily's personal life began to improve. With the financial support and stability provided by Michael, she was able to create a more secure environment for her child. She no longer had to work exhausting shifts at the restaurant. She could focus on spending quality time with her child while continuing her studies. The stress and uncertainty that had weighed heavily on her before began to lift, replaced by a sense of hope, confidence, and possibility. Emily could finally imagine a future that was not constrained by financial struggle or circumstances. A future where her skills, dedication, and compassion could truly shine. Emily's bond with Liam and Michael's family remained strong as well. They often visited her at the hospital, and Emily cherished these moments. Liam, once a child who had been difficult to calm in public spaces, now approached her with joy and recognition. Their connection was immediate and unbroken, a reminder of the moment that had started it all. Michael often watched quietly, seeing how Emily had grown into a confident, capable woman whose presence could inspire and comfort others. These visits reinforced the impact of their first encounter, showing that acts of kindness and compassion could ripple outward in ways neither party had anticipated. As months passed, Emily began to think about her long-term goals of working in pediatric care, helping children with special needs, and providing guidance and support to families navigating difficult medical challenges. She wanted to make a difference not only as a nurse, but as a mentor, advocate, and role model. The internship and scholarship had provided her with the tools and resources she needed, but it was her own determination, empathy, and courage that would carry her forward. Emily realized that her journey was no longer about surviving, it was about thriving, growing, and making a meaningful impact on the lives of others. Emily's success began to inspire those around her. Her supervisors admired her dedication and character, and her colleagues often sought her advice and guidance. Patients and families responded to her kindness and professionalism, and she began to build a reputation as someone who could be trusted, to care deeply while maintaining high standards. Her personal growth was mirrored by her professional development, creating a cycle of confidence, competence, and compassion that propelled her forward. Emily had transformed from a young woman struggling to balance work, study, and family into a confident, skilled, and compassionate professional ready to take on the challenges of a meaningful career. Throughout this transformation, Emily never forgot the moment that had started it all, the day she held Liam in her arms. She reflected on how a simple act of kindness performed without expectation had led to a life-changing opportunity. She realized that small, thoughtful gestures could have immense impact, not only in her own life, but in the lives of those around her. This understanding shaped her approach to her work, her relationships, and her own personal goals. Emily became committed to extending the same compassion and support she had received, helping others whenever she could, and recognizing the potential in those who might be overlooked or underestimated. By the end of the year, Emily had made remarkable progress. She was excelling in her studies, thriving in her internship, and providing a stable, loving environment. For her child, Michael watched with pride, knowing that his support had helped her unlock her potential, but also recognizing that it was her own character, dedication, and empathy that had enabled her to succeed. Emily felt gratitude and joy, realizing that her life had been forever transformed by a combination of opportunity, guidance, and her own unwavering commitment to helping others. She had stepped into a new chapter of her life, one defined by confidence, purpose, and the ability to make a lasting impact in the world. Emily's journey had transformed her life in ways she had never imagined. From the small restaurant where she had first held Liam in her arms, to the prestigious hospital where she was now thriving as an intern, every step of her path had been shaped by kindness, opportunity, and her own determination. The experience had not only changed her professionally, but it had given her a deeper understanding of herself and her ability to make a difference in the lives of others. She had learned that compassion, empathy, and dedication were just as important as skill and knowledge in shaping a meaningful life. Over the years, Emily continued to excel in her career. After completing her internship and graduating with her nursing degree, she became a registered nurse specializing in pediatric care. Her natural empathy and calm presence made her exceptional at connecting with children, especially those with special needs. Parents and families often remarked on how she seemed to understand their children's fears and anxieties, and how her gentle guidance could help them feel safe and cared for. Emily's reputation grew not only because of her professional skills, but because of the genuine warmth she brought to every interaction. Her ability to comfort and support children reminded her constantly of the day she had first held Liam, and how small acts of kindness could ripple outward in ways she had never imagined. Emily also began to reflect on her own journey and how profoundly it had been shaped by Michael's belief in her potential. She realized that without the scholarship and internship he had provided, her path would have been far more difficult, and she may never have had the confidence or resources to pursue her dream. His support had been transformative, giving her the freedom to focus on her education and career while providing stability for her child. Emily felt immense gratitude toward him, not just for the opportunities, but for the faith he had shown in her character and abilities. She understood that Michael's recognition of her potential had given her more than a career. It had given her the chance to fully embrace her own strength, empathy, and purpose. Inspired by her own experiences, Emily wanted to give back in ways that could impact others as profoundly as Michael had impacted her. She began volunteering at community programs, helping families with children who had special needs, offering guidance and support to parents, and mentoring young women pursuing careers in healthcare. Emily wanted to create opportunities for those who, like her, were determined and compassionate, but lacked resources. She understood that education, mentorship, and financial support could change lives in meaningful ways. Her goal became not only to care for individual patients, but to create a network of support that could empower others to achieve their full potential. Eventually, Emily founded a nonprofit organization focused on helping single parents pursue careers in healthcare. The program provided scholarships, mentorship, and practical support to those who faced similar challenges to the ones she had overcome. She wanted to ensure that talent and empathy were recognized and nurtured, regardless of financial circumstance. Emily's organization grew steadily, touching the lives of many individuals and families. Through her efforts, she was able to extend the ripple effect of kindness that had started the day she held Liam, proving that one act of compassion could inspire a lifetime of generosity and support. Michael continued to follow Emily's journey. Proud of the impact she was making, he watched as she not only excelled in her professional career, but also created opportunities for others to thrive. Michael often reflected on that first moment in the restaurant and marveled at how a simple act of care had transformed so many lives. Emily had taken the opportunity he had offered and used it to build something greater than herself, a legacy of empathy, coaching, empowerment, and support for those in need. He admired her humility, her dedication, and her commitment to making a positive difference. Emily's connection with Liam remained strong throughout the years. She continued to visit the family, offering guidance and support as he grew older. Liam, who had once been nervous and restless around strangers, now greeted her with joy and recognition, their bond unbroken by time. Michael often observed their interactions with a sense of pride, knowing that Emily had played a crucial role in shaping not just Liam's experiences, but also the family's understanding of compassion and care. The relationship between Emily, Liam, Michael's family became a testament to the enduring power of kindness and the way it can create lasting connections. Through her work and her nonprofit, Emily also began to influence the broader community. Parents, colleagues, and students looked up to her as an example of what could be achieved through hard work, determination, and empathy. Her story became a source of inspiration, demonstrating that success was not only measured by personal achievement, but also by the ability to lift others along the way. Emily's life had come full circle from a young waitress showing compassion to a small boy, to a professional nurse, mentor, and advocate empowering countless others. She understood that the most meaningful impact often began with a single, selfless act. Repeated and expanded through the lives of those touched, Emily also took time to mentor her own interns and colleagues in the hospital, teaching them not only technical skills, but also the importance of empathy and understanding in patient care. She encouraged them to see beyond the immediate tasks and to connect with patients as individuals with feelings, fears, and hopes. Her approach created a supportive and compassionate environment within her workplace, influencing colleagues and enhancing the quality of care provided to patients. Emily's leadership was not based on authority, but on respect, guidance, and the example she set through her actions and attitude. As the years went by, Emily found a balance between her career, her nonprofit work, and her personal life. She had created stability and security for her child, while also fulfilling her own dreams of making a meaningful impact in the world. Her journey was a reminder that opportunity, when combined with character and determination, could transform lives in ways that were profound and lasting. Emily had grown into a confident, compassionate, and accomplished woman. Yet she remained humble, always remembering the simple act of kindness that started it all. Her life became a living example of the power of giving and receiving support. Emily understood that success was not simply a personal achievement, but also the ability to create positive change in the lives of others. She embraced this responsibility fully, using her experience, knowledge, and resources to mentor, guide, and support others who faced challenges similar to those she had once experienced. Through her work, she demonstrated that one person's belief in another could set off a chain reaction, creating opportunities, hope, and transformation for generations to come. By this point, Emily had not only transformed her own life, but had begun to leave a lasting mark on the world around her. She had proven that empathy, determination, and support could overcome the most challenging obstacles. Her story, which began with a small act of kindness in a restaurant, had grown into a legacy of care, empowerment, and opportunity. She had learned that the ripple effects of compassion were far-reaching, and that a single person's actions could change lives in ways that were both unexpected and extraordinary. Emily often reflected on the journey. Remembering that first day when she held Liam in her arms, she realized that moment had not just changed her life, it had created a path for her to help countless others. It taught her that acts of empathy, no matter how small, had the power to transform futures. Michael's belief in her potential had provided the opportunity, but it was her courage, determination, and heart that had allowed her to seize it fully. That combination had not only shaped her career, but had also given her the ability to create a meaningful, lasting impact on the world. Through her nonprofit, her mentoring, and her work in healthcare, Emily became a beacon of hope for those who faced challenges similar to her own. She demonstrated that with support, opportunity, and perseverance, it was possible to rise above circumstances and make a difference. Her story became a living testament to the power of kindness, showing that even the smallest gestures could ripple outward, touching lives in profound and lasting ways. Emily had transformed not just her own life, but the lives of countless children, families, aspiring professionals who had been inspired and supported through her work. In the end, Emily's journey illustrated the truth that life-changing moments often begin with simple acts of compassion. By holding a small boy in her arms, she had unknowingly set in motion a series of events that would alter the course of her life and the lives of many others. Her story reminded everyone that empathy, courage, and determination could overcome obstacles, create opportunities, and leave a lasting legacy. Emily had grown from a young waitress with a kind heart into a confident, accomplished, and inspiring woman whose life embodied the transformative power of kindness and the enduring impact of believing in someone's potential. This is a detailed, engaging, and simple English expansion of Part 5. Focusing on Emily's lasting impact, professional and personal growth, and the ripple effect of kindness that began with her small act of compassion.